Okay, let's get the latest now on this developing story. The breaking news in Braithwaite on the East Bank, where that levee outside the federal protection system overtopped, trapping residents. One of them on the phone with us right now, Melanie Martinez. And describe to us the situation right now that you're in. What a scary situation.
Well, it's like maybe 10 feet of water, and we can't get out. Well, we kind of scared and want to get out of here. I mean, I got my mom. We couldn't leave. My truck broke down. We just need help to get out of here.
It's a heartbreaking situation, and we just want to let you know they're desperately trying to get to you as quickly as they can. Our hearts go out to you.
I'm worried about my mom.
3 people successfully rescued. What can you tell us about that effort?
One of our local residents went in, heard about the lady on the roof, went and rescued her, and got 2 other people on his way out. So that's some good news, and hopefully as his son comes up, we're going to be able to get in and get the rest of the people out that are stranded.
We're hearing is on the phone in Plaquemines Parish, actually trapped on a roof with family members. What can you tell us, Miss Jones?
We're not on a roof. We're in an attic, and the water is not up in the attic yet. We're waiting to be rescued. We have fortunately, I brought a chainsaw to the attic with me, and there's 5 of us up here and 6 dogs.
The most dramatic events of the morning have involved Braithwaite, and we have the first images of daylight of almost up to rooftops in Braithwaite, Louisiana, just inside the east bank of Plaquemines Parish near the St. Bernard Parish line, where a back levee has either been breached or overtopped. We're not sure.
Okay, Dean, tell us what your situation is, where you are, and what's going on.
Well, we're in Braithwaite by the old Amex refinery or whatever, nickel plant by the levee, by a power plant. My home is about maybe 2 blocks from this area, and yeah, we're on top of the levee, and I don't know if y'all have any footage. We sent some footage in.
If ain't nobody in Braithwaite have a house, nobody, all of them.
The lady saying that everyone in Braithwaite has had catastrophic flooding from their point of view. It has flooded the entire community of Braithwaite just inside the east bank of Plaquemines Parish from St. Bernard.
And she said never in her whole life had she seen flooding like this, and she got out by boat.
But I think you can clearly see that the center of the storm, if it is moving, it is not moving very quickly at all.
The wind is just relentless here at the lower end of Lafourche Parish. We are standing on the levee wall here on Golden Meadow, and just take a look behind me. This is LA1, and we've been telling you for quite a while that LA1 has been underwater. There's about 3 or 4 feet of standing water. Basically what you're looking at right now is essentially the Gulf of Mexico as this storm surge from Natural Storm Isaac continues pushing in and pounding the coast.
The water came more than 5 feet over the 8-foot levee. We knew we had a challenge when the projections were 9 to 11, 12 feet early on. We hoped the storm would turn. We spent a lot of time reinforcing those levees before the storm hit. But we have had them breached. There's 12 to 14 foot of water in homes and businesses over there, and there's a lot of people that need to be rescued.
Shelley Brown is down in Braithwaite and actually sent us some video of some of the rescues. We talked with one gentleman who had several people, at least 5 people up in the attic, and several dogs. Well, this may be the group that we spoke with up in the attic.
Well, there certainly were, and we had one gentleman we talked to with 5 family members and about 5 dogs. We've been following the story about those folks in Braithwaite who needed rescuing from their homes because of the levee breaching. Clyde Jones was among them, a man. Clyde, were you 75 or 78? What did you tell me?
75.
75. You were. You had about 5 minutes to get yourself and four dogs and 4 family members up in the attic, and you have been rescued.
I have, and the dogs have been rescued, and the dogs are fine. Only thing, my trouble now is we're all wet, and we try to find some clothes to put on.
You can see a couple of rooftops, just the rooftops barely coming up over on top of the water, and some of these people have been stranded in their attics, some of them on the second stories of their homes with their animals, and some of them with their children, and many of them have been rescued as we've been able to capture that today.
Okay, after they got us off the boat, up to the wall, That man carried me the whole way to the truck.
I saw him carrying someone. That was you.
Yeah. He carried me the whole way.
And then I was looking out of the window and I saw some woman run down the street, and then you could just see like people's things from their house floating by, and then I knew the water was just coming. And so I hurried up and told them, and we grabbed all of our animals and put them upstairs, and we were trying to grab things, and the water just came in like so fast.
There's animals, there's people that are still there, and my husband stayed behind to be with our animals until they could be rescued. And I am glad to be out, but I still worry about my husband and other neighbors that stayed. We had neighbors that stayed because of animals.
This is about 1.5 miles south of Woodlands Plantation. Some say the damage left behind in Plaquemines on both sides of the river is far worse than they experienced during and after Hurricane Katrina.
You know, New Orleans police have warned people to stay off the streets during Hurricane Isaac, and for very good reason. Things like this you see all the time. This is actually an exit ramp from the interstate to Carrollton Avenue. The car behind me, now underwater, was filled with a family of 6, and we arrived here on the scene just after they swam to safety.
The water, look at our car, like oh my God. You know what? I was just trying to go find somewhere to get some food, and I guess
you got to the
children. And this is just too much for me. This is just too much.
And as we were talking to the family, they saw another car about to make the same mistake, and they weren't about to let that happen. The driver of that car slowed down just in time and was so appreciative for the warning, she gave the Josephs a ride back to their home.
What they're doing is they're putting these sandbags down right here to reinforce the geotube to hopefully provide some form of protection to what is not flooded down here in Lafitte. These are National Guard troops doing what they can. They're working feverishly. Also in the group is Mayor Tim Kerner.
We're getting some reports of some flooding in homes in Laplace. Is that true?
That's correct. These are lower-lying areas that are being affected by the tidal influence and surge coming from Lake Pontchartrain. We're currently evacuating those individuals who need to leave their homes.
We are here on Louisiana Highway 23. We're just past the flood wall here on our way down to Myrtle Grove and Venice. This is south of that flood wall, all the way down to Venice, where Plaquemines Parish officials have ordered a mandatory evacuations because they are concerned that an 8-foot levee here just will not protect the people in this area.
Floating on top of the road that runs parallel with the lakefront in Mandeville. The houses and then the rest of the road.
Pretty bad situation here, dangerous situation. You can see behind me a 2-story house partially collapsed. The whole second story of this house has collapsed into the street. Not only do we have that as an issue, we've got down power lines on the ground around it.
And here are people in St. John Parish moving to higher ground, being taken out, getting all their belongings as much as they can carry. Apparently the water got a little bit too high for them, Bob, and they all say the same thing, like you were saying. It's worse than Katrina or equal to Katrina to them.
Mission 1 today was to get the John Fro family grandmother out, and the mission was pretty much accomplished.
I was worried. Real worried.
And now the water is making its way onto Highway 22. In fact, there's already probably about 6 feet of water on Highway 22. We met a man out there in a little motorboat who was helping to rescue a couple. They live in condos off Highway 22. Now, they have a second floor, so they didn't necessarily need to be evacuated, but the woman is 9 months pregnant.
Getting into Laplace was pretty difficult. It was a challenge for my photographer, Blaine Strawn, and I. We were coming up airline from New Orleans, and when we got right past the Bonnie Carey Spillway, there's a roadblock. You cannot get through because airline highway at that point is underwater.
Old Town Slidell is where Rob Masson was earlier, getting some pictures for us of people just walking out, people going back in, trying to get some of their belongings and then leaving. This is an area that has taken on water.
Over to the west bank, too, of Plaquemines Parish.
Right, floodwaters overtopped the levees on the west bank of Plaquemines Parish early this morning. Highway 23 is underwater. Plaquemines Parish President Billy Nungesser
feared this would happen. You're taking a look right now. You can see cattle that's been stranded and literally just trying to get to higher ground. Also, several dead animals floating in the floodwaters. Power lines are down. In some cases, the power poles have snapped. Homes and businesses all along the highway are underwater.
Start filling up water inside. And so we knew we had to get out. So banged the back window and was able to break the window. And then we were able to sit in the back of the bed for a while. But the water kept on rising. I had her wheelchair there, had her sitting in the wheelchair until the water just kept breaking over our heads and then eventually just pushed us both off.
I got 100 feet down the road, water started coming into my vehicle. I turned around and I was driving up the road and the water was coming up around me. Incredible.
Coast Guard choppers actually showed up along the Mississippi River levee to rescue some of the people who were taking shelter at Nungesser's home. The National Guard also in lower Plaquemines going door to door to make sure that everyone makes it out. The water in some areas, as you can see, just very high.
Take a look over here. We're in Jean Lafitte. You're hearing on the microphone emergency officials asking this woman over there and her family if they want to be basically taken out of this area here in Jean Lafitte.
And as you can see, the water is over my knees. We're in the 200 block now, and I'm told if you go farther back into the 300 block, it's waist deep.
One of the problems is currently LA1. Take a look at the section behind me between 3090 and Grand Isle. Large sections of the road have simply washed away. The storm surge was lapping first over this road and then against it all night long, and portions of the road are still falling into the water.
We lost everything in our house, and our truck was inside our garage, so we lost that too. But we're alive and we're okay, so we're making it.
I didn't think this was going. I thought this was a high point out here. I thought. I really did.
Ernest Edwards thought moving to Laplace was moving to higher ground. He lived in the lower Ninth Ward for 60 years.
I thought we had got away from the storm. That's why we moved out here. We lost everything in the Ninth Ward. We lived right there by the Industrial Canal, right there on Desalon Street, where the liver broke at. We live right there.
And here we are today.
Here we are. I'm battling the storm again.
The water slowly recedes on the east bank of Plaquemines, but along most of an 18-mile-long stretch of land, the only way in is by boat. A shift in the winds and a hole intentionally punched in the levee allows Braithwaite to finally start to empty.
This is not a swamp tour.
There was a report yesterday on Camellia Drive of an alligator.
It's a rescue mission of sorts through Palm Lake, a neighborhood known for its water views, still covered with it.
Water brought in by Hurricane Isaac is now spilling out of Plaquemines Parish. Let me step out of the way and show you. This is one of two intentional breaches put in the West Bank outside levee to let the water, the storm surge brought in by the storm, empty back out. This, what you're looking at right now, used to be a pasture, just land. Now you can see it is filled with water, and it's much higher on this side than it is on the other side of the levee.
Airboat Captain James Mitchell takes us into the floodwaters of Plaquemines Parish, passing his own flooded truck along the way.
I had it parked right up the road here and had to go do a rescue, and within an hour and 30 minutes came back and my truck was floating.
He rescued more than 24 people, saving them from the type of horror in Braithwaite, where search teams found 2 bodies inside a house. They still haven't been identified. It wasn't until today that Mitchell took a moment for himself to salvage a few items from his vehicle.
It's been real rough. Last 4 days have been killing me.
Painful, he says, to see areas like Ironton, which is still several feet underwater.
Also today, helicopters are bringing hay to the many cows that were displaced by the storm surge from Hurricane Isaac. Many cows didn't survive, but there are still hundreds wandering around looking for food and just spooked by the storm. We've seen cows in houses, cows on front porches, and many just gathered by the highway. Crews are here to round them up and get them to safety.
We've got a lot of equipment, we've got a lot of manpower on the ground, a lot of resources on the ground, so it's coming together. I mean, this was a major disaster for Plaquemines Parish.
With temperatures in the 90s outside, inside of a home without power, it can feel like 110 degrees. While utility crews work to restore power, some of the victims of Isaac have been suffering for days in the sweltering heat. At East Jefferson General Hospital, The emergency room is packed with patients suffering from heat-related illnesses.
We're cooling them off, we're providing intravenous fluids, we're providing beverages for them to drink, trying to cool them down a little bit.
Battling the temperatures became too much for 90-year-old Harold Hooper.
This elderly gentleman was in a house with other family members that did not have power, to the best of my knowledge, since the storm.
Hooper was sleeping in this small room when his grandson says he found him. The coroner says Hooper's Marrero home was at least 90 degrees.
In Wyclowski, there's no time to waste.
That was the ice maker. Had two of them right here. One of them left, but $100,000. Put this back.
Bruce Guerra owns Wyclowski Seafood, or what's left of it.
I rebuilt it again. This storm came through now and knocked it down. Must have $75,000.
From his tattered dock to the loss of equipment, it's hard not to feel a little weary. Is this just as bad as Katrina?
I would say just as bad.
Are you going to start over?
Yeah, and start over, you know, if we get some help.
Well, I can't move it much.
This was David Morgan's paradise.
But on this property, we're the fifth generation that's lived here.
The property is now covered in mud and debris. Water filled the Dalcour community on the east bank of Plaquemines Parish, nearly reaching the top of the Mississippi River levee. Parish officials cleared what they could off Highway 39, opening the road to residents for the first time Tuesday. Dave Sellers came back to the house he'd been remodeling when Isaac hit. Sellers had to be rescued from the roof when the water rose.
It started flooding at 10 after 4 in the morning, and by 6:30 there was about six shingles left underneath that window, because that's the window I came out of the roof on.
Mud fills the homes. The smell of dead grass and animals fills the air. And there is more death here. Tombs from a cemetery nearly half a mile away ended up in David Morgan's front yard.
For hours, Jared Guerra and his brother combed the waters in Wyclowski looking for their crab traps. The ones they were lucky enough to find didn't fare so well.
My equipment's almost destroyed. I gotta redo all that.
Guerra, like so many other fishermen, also lost his family's dock in the storm.
Residents of Boga Chitto Heights carried out their muddy, mildewed possessions, searching for the few things that survived Hurricane Isaac's flood.
This is where the water stood at.
Calvin Sharp lost everything. Your whole life is in it.
Well, and I picked up a couple files of it, but my whole life pretty much. My little missus, she's right there. Her managed to save a Bible. Cross on the wall. Be all right. We're still on the good side of dirt. Can you give me a break, homeboy?
Hard to believe. Second time in 7 years.
Roy Legault Jr. is one of the first residents to make it back to his home in Braithwaite Park. Accessible only by boat, roughly 4 feet of water still covers the neighborhood.
A lot of money lost again.
His whole family also lived in Braithwaite.
This house on the corner right here was my dad's house. The brown brick.
Pulling up to Legault's home, you can't help but notice the thick, wet mud that covers the front porch. On the inside, furniture is destroyed and stacked up in piles.
That was our living room.
You describe it like a washing machine.
That's what it looks like, huh? It looks like a washing machine. Somebody just filled it with mud and this and turned it on.
What do you do now, Roy? From here, where do you go?
Buy another house inside the flood wall. It's really the only choice, you know?
A trusted colleague asked me this morning, what are you going to write about? I told him I knew what I was going to write about. I just didn't know which part. Resilience, he says. I paused, I doubted. On one hand, it seems a little premature. Not everyone is home yet. Not everyone is all right. Not everyone has had a chance to express their resilience yet. Then again, I look around and I see we're still standing. Some are standing in water, some are standing in mud, some are standing in the dark, in the hot, but we're here and we're gonna stay and we're gonna fix this place up. Again, because it's home. It's what we do, and that's the way we do it.